So let's say we wanted to use AB Street to study Aaron's question about Rainier Massachusetts. We'll start the game, and if you're not familiar with the controls, I recommend going through the tutorial mode, but otherwise you can jump right into the sandbox. Sandbox starts you in kind of a small map, not in the right area, but go ahead and change it to International District and I-90. And then we're actually already zoomed in on this intersection, but the game starts with a lot of different traffic around, but actually let's go ahead and just disable that for a moment. Yeah, if you didn't know where Massachusetts and Rainier is, you could use this tool to look for it, but we'll go ahead and zoom in on this intersection. So the way that the traffic signal is modeled right now, you can click the intersection and press edit. So there are, and so all of this is completely guessed. I don't have real data for how any of the traffic signals in Seattle are timed. So right now, in the game's model, there are 4 phases that look like this, and they each last just 30 seconds. So this is definitely not realistic. But like, let's say that you wanted to, say for example, make an all walk cycle. You could kind of do that manually by like clicking one phase. Say like removing this crosswalk, and then selecting the other phase with crosswalks and doing the same thing there. And then let's say after phase 4 we edit and say add a new phase after it. So now we have an empty phase that lasts 30 seconds, and then we could go enable all of the crosswalks here. And that's one way to do it. There's actually also a control up here in edit entire signal. There's just an option to add an all walk phase at the end that'll do exactly the same thing. But let's say that, for example, you think an all walk cycle would be the thing that helps this intersection. I don't know if that's true or not. You can exit the editor, and then there's a few different traffic patterns you can spawn, or that you can like run through this scenario. Let's go ahead and just start with the really simple one of a bunch of vehicles around this one intersection. So if you click the intersection, there's a button to spawn agents here. And it has the hotkey binding of Z. So if we press it, we see some stuff appear. Then we can use the controls at the bottom to play the simulation just to get a sense of how things are working. So here we have like the east and westbound phase are green, and then the right turns are allowed. That's what the blue arrows mean. And so all of these pedestrians looks like just walking on the sidewalk and not making any crossing, which is great because none of the crosswalk timers are on right now. And so yeah, now these guys are looks like waiting to cross. So this intersection is slowly changing. Now we're going to go to a new phase with the left turns. You can speed things up, watch a little bit faster, or even faster, or we can slow things down again. And so yeah, and so then the next thing you might want to do is wonder, like, how does this affect the realistic traffic patterns of an entire day of traffic? So up here, there's an option for realistic weekday traffic. And if you kind of zoom out and watch things, time starts at midnight, and so there's not too much going on at this intersection at first. If we kind of speed up time, then there's lots of things moving very quickly. And maybe we'll stop it around 4 or 5 a.m. and slow down a little bit. Looks like there's not too much activity at this intersection yet. And also, I guess just to mention, at any time you can click this intersection and see different data. So I'm measuring throughput, just how many different vehicles cross in 20-minute buckets. And so if you hover over at around 6 a.m., about like 40 cars passed, and 20 walking trips or pedestrians. And then I'm also measuring delay, although I'm not breaking down by the different mode yet. And so it looks like the sort of worst case of delay is about 2 minutes. Which is maybe about reasonable if somebody hits the light at the wrong time and has to wait for the whole cycle. So if we zoom back out, unfortunately the reason why we can't really, in this map, measure the effects of any change here super well yet is that there's a lot of problems that crop up here kind of unrealistically early. And it's because this is sort of just a bug in the model, but these two traffic lights up here by like South Main and First are independently timed, and in OpenStreetMap they're mapped as separate intersections. And so if we kind of like watch this, one car is kind of getting through at a time and the others aren't moving, and so this this gridlock is actually spreading. This is not realistic. So this still needs work. But you kind of get the idea of how you might be able to use this tool maybe in the future to study these kind of questions. Yeah, if you have any questions, please let me know. Thanks.